Okay, so what I want to go over in this video is sort of how I handle a legacy Unity project in Mac OS using Rider. Although I suspect that this a lot of this is applicable to Visual Studio as well. So I got this project. This is from the Unity certification courseware, and it's the last Unity version you can upgrade this to is 2020.3, which is slightly annoying. So anyway, I got this project. I downloaded it right from the courseware. The first thing I'm going to do is delete all of these Unity generated C sharp solution files. And just to be sure, I'm going to go into the project and remove. So there's no, you'd want to remove that's, I didn't think that was there to begin with. And so that's not there. So that's basically a clean Unity project. We could, I got a Unity git ignore. Let me just bear with me for 1 second. This is Unity Git Ignore. I think I got it from. Oh, here's the reference. So it's GitHub's main Git Ignore for Unity, and you notice, like what we just did is delete the solution and the CSproj files, but we could also delete, all of this stuff. I don't think that's totally necessary at this point. I think I can kind of move on from here. So what I want to do now is add this to the hub. Add this to the hub, and we get this alert. So actually, the courseware was written in 2017, which is horrible. But you can upgrade it to 2020. So I'm gonna upgrade this. Yes. So one of the problems that we're gonna have is that when you install Rider, you get modern Rider wherever you are. This happens to be 2025. So I've got Rider 2025, and this project, there's a Rider plugin or Rider package, Rider editor package. There's also a Visual Studio editor package, but those track with with the project. So you're going to want to update the Rider editor package to the most recent version that's compatible with your Unity version, and Package Manager will do that for you once we get into this project. So the real impetus for what I'm about to do is I wanted to add some unit tests when I was working on this code. And in order to get the unit test framework work, you have to break up your project into what are called assembly definitions. And that gets into some sort of off in the weeds compilation stuff. Assembly definitions determine where your code lives in terms of these assemblies. So in 2020 flavor of Unity, everything kind of lives in assemblies, CSproj, or in one of these intermediate compilation steps. So backing up, Unity is automatically generating the solution of the CSproj so you can open it in an IDE. And what we really want is separate. So when you have a separate assembly, you get a separate CS proj. So we need separate assemblies. I'm not sure I'm 100% wrapped around my head around like why we need separate assemblies just to run unit testing, but I think it has to do with what dependencies you include where and what code gets run as part of the editor versus part of the running project, etc. So anyway, that's just kind of the impetus for where we're going. But let's just back up and slow down. So the first thing I want to do is window package manager and packages and project. You see how there's this JetBrains rider editor, and we're at 3.021, and the new one is 3.036, and the same thing is true of Visual Studio Code. Actually, there's no, I don't know why there's no update link for that. But what we're going to do with JetBrains Rider Editor is update this. And you see what's happening here is that Unity is taking the scripts in your assets folder. These are C sharp scripts, but it's automatically generating the solution and the CS proj files. So now we should be able, in theory, to go into scripts and open any of these in Rider, and it'll ask us, okay, so the question is, when we switch this to the solution, so you see this default assembly, that's where scripts live, and it looks pretty good. I probably should have shown what it looked like before we did that update, but what you'll see is like all kinds of red squigglies. Standard assets might not link up, etc. And none of this may happen until you start using assembly definitions, but the second you do, you're going to be in trouble. All right, so I'm going to go into a second part of this, which is configuring assembly definitions so we can start to use unit testing. But I'm gonna just put a cut here and open a second screencast.